Okay, good evening YouTube. Welcome to this next episode of FPL Family with me, Lee, and this is Sam. And first things first, Sam, we have to talk about one of the most emotional games I've seen in some time. How was that FA Cup final for you? I really enjoyed it. Congratulations, Leicester City fans.
It was a really good game, wasn't it? I really enjoyed it. I think it's always nice when a team that's never won something before, and in Vardy's case, I think the only player that's ever played in every single round of the FA Cup. Did you see his tweet?
He put FA Cup, completed it, mate.
Yeah, because he's played. I think he's the only player every single round, and now obviously has won it.
Yeah.
So that's like a proper romantic football story, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, it's the FA Cup final I've enjoyed the most for many years, guys. Many years. The FA Cup. You know, some people say it's lost its magic, etc. But I tell you what, it found a bit of magic there on Saturday evening, didn't it? It was fantastic. Fans back in stadiums, first of all, tick. A club not involved in the Super League wins it, tick. An owner that comes out the stands to come and celebrate with the team.
by the
Schmeichel went and got him, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then brought it down, and he's lifting the cup, and just everything about it was just so emotional. And then Kasper Schmeichel, emotional in his interview afterwards. I, for one, have missed emotion massively out of football.
Though, didn't they? Still dropped the lid.
Not as bad.
Every year.
Well, not as bad as Aubameyang. He dropped the whole bloody thing last season, didn't he? He dropped the whole cup.
Stop it! Stop dropping the silverware!
We need respect for the FA Cup trophy. Is what we need. But listen, I thoroughly enjoyed the FA Cup final. Thoughts on those two teams from an FPL perspective? Got a big game now in game week 37, haven't they, between the two of them?
Yeah, I do. I wonder about the game in 37 actually now, because obviously I know that I'm not saying there wasn't a lot on it on Saturday, but in a cup final it's like it's a one-off. If you win it, you get everything. If you lose it, you get nothing.
Yeah.
This game
it feels a bit like that in the league.
Sort of.
All or nothing, isn't it now?
Well, I think it'll be more cagey because I think both sides will be too scared to lose this one. So
draw doesn't help them, does it? Draw doesn't help Chelsea. Wow, listen,
I don't know. It's tough
more
to
on
call.
that later on, because that's what we're going to do in this FPL Family live stream, guys. Of course, we're going to have a very quick look back at how game week 36 panned out. We're going to look at our teams. We're going to be looking at all the action. We'll pick on a couple of fixtures. We need to talk about Spurs winning. We need to talk about Liverpool winning. Very lucky Liverpool winning. I'll talk about that a bit later on.
Notice you're wearing your keeper shirt.
I've got to get the Alisson shirt, haven't I? That's got to happen. He's got to be up on the board as well. Look,
there he is on the board.
There he is,
For
Alisson.
the podcast viewers, the board today contains Alisson.
Alisson's up there. So is Ollie Watkins, who seems to not ever come down from the board. He's just so consistently ticking over the points. It's ridiculous. He's joined by João Cancelo, who picked up, well, frankly, a bit of a haul, didn't he?
12?
Yeah, I think a 12 or 13 points or something like that. Leeds United, who seemed like a permanent fixture up there as well. Another good result for Leeds. Definitely not on the beach, Marco Bielsa's boys. Crystal Palace, who picked up a bit of a comeback against Aston Villa. Nice result for them. Again, not on the beach.
Because it's behind the mic.
And then Spurs celebrating. You're going to change the Spurs one, are you? You're not going to throw that one across the room this week?
They won't get thrown.
They won't get thrown across the room. No way.
In a spoiler alert, I actually, because we were obviously live during the Everton game, I thought, Everton, they're bound to be somebody that. So I went through and I found, I don't know if you can see, but all of the key Everton players. I got Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Coleman, Digne, all of them.
Turns out you don't need any of them.
Don't need them.
You need the young man from Sheffield United.
I was thinking, when you guys go mentally in the chat, I can just
stick one on.
Nah, chuck it away.
As it happens,
What is it with them at home?
FPL managers were right to have a bit of scepticism around Everton's home form.
Yeah.
13, coming up to this game week, 13 defensive errors at home this season, only 3 away. What is it about Everton away from Goodison that makes them so good and makes them so bad at home? That game, for those of you watching live, that game is of course going on as we speak. It's about 10 or 15 minutes into the second half. Everton versus Sheffield United. Still currently 1-0 to Sheffield United, I believe. Jebison with the goal, I think is how you pronounce his game. 17-year-old, I was going to say wonder kid. I don't know if he's a wonder kid. If you're a Sheffield United fan, if you're a Blades fan, perhaps you'll tell me a bit more about Jebison. I've got absolutely no idea where he's come from. Differential for the last couple of game weeks, Jebison?
Well, look, Sheffield United beat Barcelona tonight.
Well, Everton are making them look good, no doubt about it.
It's the rain. It's the rain.
It's possibly. I don't know what it is. It's Everton at home, really not good. And given that they've got a home game coming up next, does that put you off captaining Dominic Calvert-Lewin or indeed putting Everton assets in your team? More on that later on, Sam, because of course, as I said a second ago, guys, we will look at game week 36, but we will also look ahead now to the finale. Because by the time we reach you this time next week, 8:30 Sunday night, it'll be done. We will be finished.
We'll have to get the wooden spoon out.
Game week 37 will be bin and gone, and it's Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, during the week.
And Thursday.
And possibly Thursday. I think you might be right about that. And then game week 38 is on Sunday.
3 o'clock.
Sunday, 3 o'clock.
Do you know what?
10 fixtures
Are you
straight.
quite excited for Sunday, 3 o'clock, all the fixtures?
I am. And I'm going to be, fingers crossed, assuming that the London Colney Colts have a game in the morning and not in the afternoon. I will be with Gianni and Toby on Scoutcast watch-along on that Sunday.
Great. That means I can watch whatever I want. Whichever game I want. I don't have to worry about you.
Yeah, we can't get BT in here in the office, actually.
Tough for you, then.
That's okay, right.
If Liverpool on BT, tough for you. I'll be watching Spurs.
Yeah, I have got a little green tea this evening. Got a little bit of a sore throat, a bit of a sniffle this week. I've had a COVID test. I'm negative. I'm fine. I'm just coughing a little bit. So just a sniffle. I know what you're saying. Man up, Lee. Man up. It's either that or I'm a little bit hoarse from all that shouting earlier on.
Oh, right.
What are we saying about that moment?
I said last week...
How good was it?
I was fed up. Fed up of you. While watching football with you is a nightmare.
It is a nightmare at the moment.
Honestly,
There's no doubt about
it is horrible.
How much was I moaning about Liverpool in that game?
Honestly...
Oh, man.
Whilst I'm very excited about the Euros, I'm also dreading how annoying Lee is going to be. But Liverpool, he was so irritating during that game because everything was a negative. We're bad, doing this is bad, that's bad, the other thing's bad, everything's bad, everything this is bad, that's bad. Alisson, what are you doing? Why is Alisson coming? It was. Why is Alisson coming up? Oh, Alisson scores a goal. He's gone mental. Utterly mental. To the point where...
It was what a moment. What a moment.
If I, one, wasn't eating my dinner when it happened, and two, had my phone next to me, I would have recorded it because it was absolutely priceless, his reaction. And
how good was the header?
It was very good.
DCL would have been proud of that header. Come on. Harry Kane would have been proud of that header.
Yeah, but he doesn't... The best thing about the header was his interview after the game, talking about the header.
That is a top interview, wasn't it? 3 or 4 minutes of absolute gold from Alisson talking about his dad. He dedicated to his father, lost his father earlier in the year. He struggled to obviously get back to Brazil to see his family and all this, so he couldn't go to the funeral. Had a really, really tough year. To be honest with you, it was another moment of real emotion in this week in the Premier League. And of course it affected me more because I'm a Liverpool fan. There's probably plenty of you out there thinking, yeah, cool interview, bro. But, I wasn't emotional about it in the same way that I was. But I had... the emotion of Saturday and Leicester City, then the emotion of today with Alisson. Finally, Sam, we are seeing some emotion back in football. We're going to have fans on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. I cannot wait for next season. It is going to be
fans
great.
in stands. It does... You don't realise, I think, because it's been so long since we've properly had fans in stands. I know we had some at the beginning of the season in some clubs, but... to have fans back in the stadiums again, it just makes such a difference to the whole... That's what football's all about at the end of the day. It's about the fans.
100% is about the fans. Let's go to the main page. There's the Twitter on the left-hand side, at FPL Family over on Twitter, and on Instagram, at FPL Family over there too. Are you homing in on 10k?
No.
On Insta? No?
Really, no.
Why not?
What?
Come on, guys, get following over on Insta.
I think I need 900.
Do you? Well, have you lost followers?
No, I haven't lost any. I think I'm at 9,100. So I've gained 100 since a couple of weeks ago.
Good. All right, that's not bad.
We're getting there, but it's the end of the season, isn't it?
Slowly but surely, end of the season. Isn't
Come
it?
on now.
Slowly but surely. Hopefully, when we get into the new season, it'll ramp up again. Won't it? The excitement about a new FPL season will grow over.
When I can post pictures of England lifting the Euro trophy.
That's what we're saying. Is it England are going to win? Foden one side, Sancho the other, Kane in the middle.
Oh, shush.
Job done.
It's all about Harry Kane with the trophy, standing there.
Jeez, no Harry Maguire, I think is going to be a problem for him.
Connor Cody, did you see him today?
Well, listen, he did play very, very well today.
Right, though, first of all, Gary Neville, if you're listening, you're a plonker.
Yeah,
can't give Connor Cody man of the match.
Man of the match. I think it was Carragher actually, wasn't it? Or was it Neville?
No, I think it was Neville.
I think it was. Anyway, let's get on with these games because we need to crack through these games pretty quickly.
Have we even said hello to people yet?
Do you know what? We haven't. You are absolutely right. Let's say hello to a few
Just
people.
babbled on.
Let's say hello to a few
10
people
minutes.
before we get on with the games because then we're going to blast through those games and we're going to get to 37-38, the finale, the final week of this season, this crazy season of FPL, which is finally going to come to an end. A season where goalkeepers score 94-minute headers. A season where Tyrant Mitchell scores you the jammiest 13 points I've ever seen in my life.
Thanks, Mitchell.
Mitchell owners, if you got that 13 points today, get in the chat. I want to hear from you jammy FPL managers that are Tyrant Mitchell owners. FPL Tips is here. How are we doing, Tips? He says it's coming home. What we saying? Yes or no?
I've just said it's coming home.
It's coming home, Tips.
It's coming home in Harry's suitcase.
Absolutely right. Joe Finley Batter is in and moderating. He says, evening Lee and Jammy Sam. Hey Joe.
I'll take it, to be fair.
After you missed out on the Mendy penalty save last week, which was a big slice of jam, you've definitely got the Mitchell jam this week.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when we get to that game, I'll tell you about the process that ended up with me having Mitchell.
Don't start coming on here talking about, I plan to have Mitchell's 13 points and all this. No, not having it.
What is that with you?
Not having it.
You need to pipe right back down again. Where's that wooden spoon trophy? That will calm you down.
Tony Terrell is in. He says, evening guys, 63 points. Very good from Tony. Nice game week. Tony, who currently, spoiler alert, is top of the FPL Manager of the Month, the FPL Family Manager of the Month for May at the end of last game week. So I'll be totaling up the scores either tonight or tomorrow, giving an update to our Patreon supporters, and Tony could well be still top of the shots.
You're going to have to do 2 updates this week, aren't you?
That's it. I'm going to be busy with my spreadsheet, aren't I?
You are, yeah.
Going to be Excel.
Particularly on Friday. You're going to have to do it on Friday before you go for your COVID jab.
I got my jab, haven't I, on Friday?
Yeah, I've had mine.
Yeah. If it numbs my arm goes all weird, then I'd be typing like that, wouldn't I?
So yeah, that's my excuse. You better do it in the morning before.
Liam Healy is in. Hey Liam,
hey,
very
Liam.
Nice to see you. All the patrons are in tonight. Martin Tricky Swartz, all of our patrons are here. How are we doing, guys? Nice to see you. FPL Statboy is in. He says, hi Lee and Sam, I'm only 9 years old and I've been following you for years. Hey, how are we doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Watch your language, please. 9 years old. Don't
tell me to watch my language. I always watch my language.
It's normally me, to be fair. It's definitely not you.
It's always fine.
Martin's got 77 points, by the way, Sam. Nice game week. Very nice. And Nehal Kukami is in, 71 points. Ooh. So guys, some good scores knocking about in the live chat, so congratulations. Tuhin Deb is in. How are we doing, Tuhin? 80 points for Tuhin. Very nice. Azzy's in. Hey Azzy, how are we doing? Last 5 minutes at Everton, he says. Honestly, that's a blow for the Toffees. You cannot go around losing at home to Sheffield United. That's sacrilege, isn't it? If they'd have won that, they would have been in a shout for Europa Conference League, wouldn't they? I think. They're in the mix.
Sorry, I can't take the Europa Conference League seriously.
That's what it's called now. You have to start getting used to the ECL.
We might have to. We're in that spot at the moment.
You're going to be in it, no doubt about it.
Actually, I don't think we are now. I think we're in the Europa spot, aren't we? On goal difference. Europa
League spot or Europa Conference League?
No, the Europa League on goal difference. I think West Ham are in the conference.
Okay. Dread FPL is in. He says, let's all laugh at Everton. Well, 5 minutes to go, Dread FPL. Five minutes to go. Jacob 17, he says, wow, this huge score makes my 66 look awful. Jacob, it does not. 66
is great score this week.
So do not. 66, just because the guys are... It's only the only people that got good scores post their scores, right? No one's in the live chat saying I got 40 this week, are they? Do not think that is a bad score. 66 is a good score. Don't worry about that.
I don't think 40 would be that bad. Some people will only have like 9 players. If you get 40 out of 9, that's quite good.
The ones that have been a bit unlucky are the DCL captainers. I applaud you if you've gone DCL captain this week because you play in the fixture. He's in a bit of form.
Are you playing the fixture?
Everton, you are Sheffield United.
Everton at home.
I don't know.
They're ropey as.
I don't know. Bossman525 is in. You cannot trust Everton at all. You're right, Sam. You cannot trust them. Matthew Rigby is in. He says 36 points, only 7 played. Well, listen. There are going to be plenty of FPL managers that don't have the full quota out today.
36 with 7.
36 with 7 is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. It's just unfortunate that you haven't got the 11 out, including... I mean, I didn't get a full 11 out this week because obviously Veltman was injured, so there was my risk bench gone. But also Jota as well, confirmed by Klopp, out for the season. We didn't know that before the deadline. Otherwise, I'm sure our transfers would have been different. So I'll be talking to you a bit later on, Sam, about Jota replacements for the final 2 weeks, and of course getting the thoughts of you guys in the live chat as to what you want to do with Diogo Jota. Azzy says, James from Let's Talk FPL. James is not part of Let's Talk FPL. You mean Andy? Maybe you do mean Andy. He capped DCL. Well, if he did...
No, James from Planet FPL captain DCL.
James from Planet captain DCL.
Andy definitely didn't, because Andy don't own DCL.
Right, okay. Well, listen, it was a bold move to go for DCL captain. I can see why you would do it. No doubt about it. Suren is in. He says Rafinha or Harrison for the Jota replacement, like you're thinking. Finn McCann is in. Tom Cartridge is in. Marcus Mabley is in, and a whole host of you guys. So 279 of you, and thank you very much, guys, for joining us here tonight on FPL Family. Go hit that like button if you're a regular. If you're new to FPL Family, hit that subscribe button. We'd love you to hit the old smash the likes and the subscribes and all that sort of stuff. Helps us with all of the algorithms and what have you behind YouTube. Not going to go into detail.
And follow us on Instagram as
Just
well.
helps. And don't forget to follow on Instagram. Absolutely essential. There is, as I mentioned before, the Twitter on the left-hand side. But before I sort my windows out, Sam, I'm going to get straight on with these games. And they are here. I'm going to refresh, just in case Everton have scored. No, they haven't. Right, let's bosh through these games. Only 8 games this game week anyway. And of course, we need to get to game week 37 and 38 as a look ahead pretty quickly. Let's have a quick talk about Burnley 0, Leeds 4 then, because Leeds are a team that a few of us, certainly I was, backing this week and bought in Rafinha, bought in Dallas this week. I know you bought in Dallas as well, bought him back. Bit disappointing to only get 1 assist out of those two in a 4-0 win, but Leeds march on, don't they? And the fixtures between now and the end of the season, Southampton away and then West Brom at home, I'm going to keep backing them, I think. Bielsa's got them well drilled, hasn't he? No beach for them.
No, I was super impressed by Leeds.
Really good.
Sat and watched this game. I was honestly really impressed by them. I thought they played incredibly well. I think the interesting point of conversation here, well, I think there's a couple, but Bamford is an interesting one for me because this is
What would you do if you were a Bamford owner now? Because that's going to hurt, isn't it, that?
So this week my transfers were so up in the air, and for those of you that are in the Slack, you'll know I was making decisions really late, and I never do that because I couldn't decide between DCL, Bamford and Antonio, and I was backwards and forwards on it.
Yeah.
But what put me off Bamford was the lack of minutes. So that's the third time he's been hooked. Like 2 before 60 minutes, and I think the other one was about 70 something minutes.
Is it too easy to just reel out the "he's tired" rhetoric? Or is he genuinely feeling the pace of a really long and difficult Premier League season?
Well, I don't know, and I'm also not sure that Bielsa's not trying new things and, giving others game time in different positions and seeing how things pan out. And
So to that end then, I think you're right, by the way, because he brought on Rodrigo, isn't he? And Rodrigo's banged in a couple of goals. Give me your thoughts on some Leeds differentials then, because last week we all kind of I certainly looked at Rafinha, I looked at Dallas, not a lot of artistic licence there. They're FPL assets that, I played it fairly safe there, to be honest with you. But Rodrigo and Harrison really bringing home the points this week. So you're looking at either of those guys?
Yeah, so last week I was really interested in Harrison, but I already was having to take a points hit to deal with the rest of my team, and I wasn't prepared to take a -8. On reflection, actually, for Harrison, I should have taken a -8. It would have been well worth it.
Sure, yeah. You wouldn't have called that haul from Harrison. I mean, he played very, very well, but you wouldn't have called it.
No, but it does feel like it's been coming. He's been playing incredibly well over the last few weeks. He's, for me, an absolute no-brainer. So Jota out, Harrison it's done.
Jota to Harrison is your move? Over Rafinha?
100%.
Wow. Okay. As easy as that?
Yeah.
All
Without
right.
even thinking about it.
Goodness me. All right. Well, listen, we're going to talk about other Jota replacement options later on, but there you go. Straight off the bat.
There you go.
Harrison, in for Jota for you next week. Interesting. Okay,
if I could have found him in a sticker swapsy,
he'd be on the board. Yes, he'd be on the board.
But we didn't have a swapsy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Super chat from... Wait for this, Sam. I think I got this right last week.
Oh, no.
Shakalaka Mekaleka.
Oh, yes, he's back.
He's back with another super chat. Shakalaka. I trolled myself for transferring in Mahrez and captained him.
Oh, no.
Salah vice captain.
Okay, that's worked.
Well done. Question. If I keep him in the starting 11 for game week 37 for minutes, am I troubling myself again?
Who,
what
Mahrez?
are we saying? Mahrez. Is he stick or twist now?
Okay, so here's my view on Man City. At some point in the next 2 weeks, you would expect Pep to play the Champions League final team.
For momentum reasons,
for
rhythm reasons, for fitness reasons, match fitness.
And for tactical reasons. He will want to play them together. Now, I don't think he'll do that in game week 38. One, because game week 38 is a bit too close to the Champions League final and you're risking it. And secondly, because that's going to be Aguero's last game, it's in front of the fans at the Etihad. I think there might be some changes that happen in that game. So I think 37 will be the game that he plays the Champions League final team, and therefore I think Mahrez will play.
What I will say though is that Man City, the third game week 38 against Everton at home, are they not a bit more of a... God, this is going to sound weird. They're not a bit more of a Chelsea-style team, Everton. They've got a big man up front with not much pace. although Werner is pretty quick. They play with the three at the back most of the time. They've got Coleman and Digne playing in the Reece James and the Alonso stroke Chilwell area. Are Everton are not a bit more of a Chelsea-style side?
Losing to Sheffield United.
That's true. That's very true. But it is
maybe.
Everton going away. I mean, they're much better away.
That's true. Maybe, yeah, you might be right. But I don't know. I just think that close to the Champions League final, I could see him doing it the game before. Aguero's going to play that final game, surely.
All right, okay, more on those guys maybe a bit later on. But another super chat from Duncan Crawford. Thank you, Duncan, for the super chat. Evening, guys. The jam was absolutely real this afternoon. If you could swap them out, which three leads would you have for the last two? So there's the question. Just to finish up on the Leeds chat, clean slate, which three would you have?
Meslier, Dallas, Harrison.
Meslier, Dallas and Harrison. No Bamford, no Rafinha.
Correct.
Oh, that's a big shout, that. It's a big shout.
Who would you have?
I would have Dallas, Rafinha and, possibly Harrison. Yeah, possibly. I maybe have a punt on Rodrigo, actually. But I'm going to stick with two. A very, very quick word on Burnley in the context of Burnley at Turf Moor, Leeds beaten 4-0. Liverpool go away to Burnley, to Turf Moor in midweek. Does the 4-0 result for Leeds there make you more or less inclined to captain Salah in midweek? Or is that a conversation for later on in the live stream?
That's maybe a conversation for Liverpool later. I got to admit, though, I was not impressed by Burnley in this game at all. I thought they got easily overrun by Leeds. Wood went off early. Potentially that bodes well for him in terms of next time around.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think Ashley Barnes was that effective when he came on. But if you own Chris Wood, you just keep him. But I don't think you want anyone else from Burnley.
All right, very good. I do actually think Chris Wood and Vidra will give Liverpool some difficulties at Turf Moor.
Everyone gives Liverpool difficulties.
I honestly thought Hal Robson-Kanu, who hasn't started in the Premier League for 3 years, by the way, and hardly on any form, gave young Williams a bit of the runaround, and I think Chris Wood will be a real handful for those two. If you've got Chris Wood, absolutely do not bench him against Liverpool. I back Liverpool to score as well, right? But at the same time, I don't see the clean sheet. No. If any of you are thinking of doubling up on the Liverpool clean sheets for the run-in, don't do it. Just don't do it. We're still awful at the back. No
Is Sam in?
Sam O'Sullivan from the Slack. Could be. Doubled up, isn't he, on Liverpool defence. Not a place you want to be.
At least Trent returned.
Yeah, but that's what you get from Trent. You get a bit of it. That's what you're hoping for. It's what you get, right? And let me tell you, he was pretty lucky to return because we had absolutely nothing from corners that whole game except the last minute. But more on those guys later on. Sam, it is 1-0 to Sheffield United full time. Incredible result at Goodison. Incredible result.
But do you know somehow
how has that happened?
Yeah, but also, Lee, I'm not really surprised. Weirdly, it doesn't surprise me.
Why? Everton, that's a shocker.
No, it isn't. Their home form is awful. They are so bad at Goodison Park.
Yeah, but Sheffield United are so bad everywhere.
Yeah, but they...
They are, aren't they? How have they won that? Just can't get my head around it.
They were quite good today.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. Here's a game that I'd like to talk very briefly around. Remember, we're banging through these games. Newcastle 3, Man City 4, bonkers end of season game. Can't predict what team Pep's going to put out, but if you bought your lottery ticket and you bought a Ferran Torres
or a Carson
or a Scott Carson, what's that about? Scott Carson just for a laugh, wasn't it? Scott, fancy an appearance? Go and get on there.
I think he heard us all from an FPL perspective going, the only one that's guaranteed to start is Edison, and he went, no.
I'm going to troll you big time.
I raise you, you're guaranteed to start, and give you Scott Carson.
I think Tips had Edison as well, didn't he? I think Harry had Edison, and he tweeted like, "What the hell is Scott Carson doing?"
All I do know is that Late Riser free hitted and had Carson, didn't he?
Did he really?
Yeah.
Good lord, what made him do that?
Well, because it leaked, didn't it, a bit early? There was a lot of whispering that it was going to happen. I think he thought, well, why not have a bench keeper just in case? But go for it.
Well, there we go.
He did get a penalty save, didn't he?
Well, there we go. He did get a penalty save. So what we're saying about Newcastle and Man City in particular...
It was bonkers.
I don't necessarily want to talk too much about City because I'm still not confident to go in on any of those boys, to be honest with you. But Newcastle, if you go to the Fantasy Football Scout website, which you can find... what's the website? fantasyfootballscout.co.uk? I should know this, but you work there, so come on.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Good, okay. Links in the description below is what I should have said. That was the safest thing to say. If you go to the ticker on the front of the Scout website, which members can do and sort by difficulty, the next two, Newcastle, Sheffield United at home. Not sure how that's going to go now, to be honest with you. And then Fulham away. So Newcastle are top of the shop for the run-in terms of fixtures at least.
Oh, I do worry.
What are we saying?
Well...
Willock is in absolute ridiculous form, isn't he?
Yes, he is indeed.
Yeah.
At what point in the season did we start talking about Willock as an option? But
A little while back, a few weeks back, I think.
I think as a cheap
We've all just chosen to ignore it.
differential, if you know, I don't know, if you have a player that is in bad, I can't think of one, Bamford. If you want to swap Bamford for Willock, I wouldn't say no to that.
Is Willock a forward or a midfielder?
I think he's I don't know. Where's he listed as?
Don't know. The guys will tell us in the chat, I'm sure.
I assumed he was a forward because that's where he was always scoring goals, but might be right.
What about one of the men on the thumbnail then? What about Alan St Maximin? Is he an interesting differential for the final 2 weeks, or a Newcastle bit of a non-event without Callum Wilson? That rhetoric, that's clearly nonsense based on what we saw at the weekend with 3 goals there. So what are we saying?
I really like St Maximin. I really do.
You've been a big admirer of him, haven't you? But he's not really posting the points or necessarily the underlying stats to suggest that he's in for my team next couple of weeks. It's quite a fun pick. It's a proper make fantasy fun again pick. And he's a differential, but he's nothing more than that.
But we said last season that Newcastle don't seem to go out with a whimper at the end. They do seem to play to the end. They don't go on the beach like some clubs do. They do play through it. And they did continue to play well even against Manchester City. They kind of turned up, they put in a performance, and they were unlucky in some ways not to get something from the game.
Yeah. He's a midfielder, by the way, Willock. The guy
Is
saying
he?
4.7 midfielder.
Oh, there you go Jota to Willock.
Well, I did think when you said you can replace Bamford, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm sure he's a midfielder, and he is. And not only that, he is a super cheap midfielder, 4.7.
Well, that proves to you how little I've paid attention to him in the game.
Perhaps it is time to start paying attention to Mr. Willock. Despite the penalty miss, obviously got the rebound. And did all right in that game. Did all right, despite the defeat. Where else should we go? Let's have a quick chat about... let's do Spurs and Wolves then. Talk to me about Kane and talk to me about Bale and Son. A blank for Son owners this game week, which was a bit of a shame at home to Wolves. This is a game where Spurs should have scored more goals. Let's be honest. Should have scored more goals. Dele Alli, top for XG underachievers this game week. So actually a bit unlucky, Dele Alli, potentially not to get the goal. One off the post, minus 0.89 for XG underachievement. So he's top for that statistic. So a bit unlucky. And if you look down the players that have had the most amount of shots, Harry Kane, way out in front ahead of Torres and Zaha on 5. Kane's on 7. So had loads and loads of shots, loads of chances, Spurs. Just a 2-0 win? I mean, clearly you're happy with the 2-0 win, but could have been more, couldn't it?
Could have and
should
have.
A bit more clinical.
Could have and should have.
Yeah.
But actually, what I was pleased with is that we continued to attack during the game.
Right.
It wasn't like we went 1-0 up and then we'd stopped, or even that we went 2-0 up and we stopped. There were still plenty of other opportunities across the game. I thought Dele Alli was absolutely brilliant in this game. It was the best I've seen him play in probably 3 years. Probably. I thought he was excellent. And
do you know what? He picked up those spaces in between the strikers and the in between Kane and the midfield, in between Wolves' defence and midfield. He picked up that space really, really nicely. What I would have liked to have seen was Neves play for Wolves. Well, I think Neves would have done a bit of a job on him. I think Dele would have played well enough to get something from that game still, or for Spurs to win. But I just think they missed something a bit there without Neves. I wonder whether he might have nullified that threat a bit.
Maybe. I mean, for me, I think Dele is a really nice differential option. If you want to go rogue for next week, if you've got a problem and you think, I need a player for just next week.
Not really bringing in the FPL points though, is he?
I don't know. I think Dele Alli is exactly the sort of player that in Ryan Mason's comments at the end of the game, he singled Dele Alli out and as a point of praise, which he doesn't normally do. And I think in front of the Spurs fans on Wednesday evening,
maybe
that is exactly the sort of game that the likes of Dele is going to be like, yeah, here I am.
Well, at the risk of going through this whole live stream and saying, well, you could get him for Jota, could you get Dele Alli for Jota? It's going to cost you a few more quid, I think.
He's gone down a lot.
Well, I'm sure he has.
Yeah, I think you could. I think, would you want him for the Leicester game on the final day? It's a less...
Possibly.
It's a less 2-game week pick than, say, going for one of the Leeds boys. One of the Leeds boys, it's like, well, you get them and you just keep them for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With Dele, I do sort of feel like you're getting him for the Aston Villa game. And you could maybe play him against Leeds, but...
Okay. Well, I think with that, certainly that Spurs performance, allied with the game we watched before that, Palace 3, Aston Villa 2, I thought there's a real game, to use a terrible cliche, a real game of two halves. Because Aston Villa were, I wouldn't say they were amazing, they were good first half, but Palace were absolutely tragic. For the first 20 minutes, Palace were shocking. And again, talking about Scott Carson coming out, Where the hell's Jack Butland come from? He hadn't been on the scene for 3 years, suddenly just rolled him out instead of Gaeta.
Apparently, Hodgson said after the game that he'd promised Butland the game this season, and
Joke.
they were running out, so we gave him this one.
Absolute joke. What club does that? And for anybody that bought in Gaeta this week, that's hard cheese, isn't it?
Well,
because that is really bad luck.
If you have Gaeta and Forster or Gaeta and Mendy as your keepers, you absolutely up the creek, aren't you?
Oh, without a doubt. So, in the context of Spurs next week at home to Aston Villa, Villa leaking goals like you wouldn't believe right now. So in that
Tyrone Mings today, really missed him. Left him at home after the injury. He did. Dean Smith did say he expects Mings to be back for the Spurs game.
Okay.
But we have had previous with Smith telling us things that haven't come true.
It is true. But Villa, no doubt, leaking goals left, right and centre now. Martinez did pull off a few decent saves. He was all right, actually, first half. But, again, Villa, against the Crystal Palace team who aren't exactly that great, 3 goals conceded. I mean, I think the commentators said the phrase vintage Benteke in that game at one stage. I was like, vintage Benteke? How bad must Villa be for vintage Benteke to come out? What are we saying? So the point of that rhetoric there is if you've got a Bale, if you've got a Son, if you've got a Kane, you're in no way selling those boys before Aston Villa at home, are you? Because Villa are leaky right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that
could you go double up then? Because I'm not. And I was going to get Bale for this week. Given he only got the assist, I'm happy that I didn't do the -4 for him.
Didn't get an assist.
Did he got an assist, didn't he, Gareth Bale?
Did he?
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure he did, yeah. Yes, he did. He got the assist for
Højbjerg's goal.
Højbjerg, I think.
Oh, yeah, because he had the shot that came back, didn't he?
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct. That got saved by the goalie. So, if you're just on Kane still, like I am...
And I am.
And you are... Would the Son blank put you off getting Son? Would you go Dele Alli? Would you go Bale? Or would you not go double up? What are you saying?
I still maintain that Son looks like he is in need of a year's worth of sleep.
Oh, he needs a good hug and a hot water bottle, doesn't he, Son?
He just needs a sleep.
He needs a nap.
He's so knackered. He's so tired. Bless his little cotton socks.
He does that little, like I saw a couple of times today, if he's chasing balls down, because bless him, he will just keep going, won't he?
Yeah.
He does that little hop you do before you go on a run, as if to say,
come on.
Okay, let's go. I do it on a Monday night after about 5 minutes when I'm doing 5-a-side. I'm shattered after 5 minutes and I do this little, okay, someone's like, Lee, get after that ball. I'm like, okay, and I do a little hop. And I saw Son do that a couple of times, as if to say, I need to sleep for a year.
I noticed that Max did that at football today. Little hot when we went, go on Max, get the ball.
It's just like, all right, Mum, whatever, come on, let's go. So it's like peak Son today. He is proper knackered, but 3-3 before today. So what are we saying?
I'd still go Bale over Son.
Would you still go Bale? What about Dele then? Out of the 3 of them, to complement Kane for next week.
Bale if you can afford it.
Okay.
Then I'd go Dele.
Okay.
Then I'd go Son. I think Bale and Dele in front of those home fans next week could be marvellous.
All right, very good. And from an Aston Villa and Crystal Palace perspective, Villa obviously away at Spurs, then home to Chelsea, and then Crystal Palace have got Arsenal and Liverpool. We're not rushing to bring them in, are we? Either of them.
No.
Jack Grealish back, potential wild card, I should say, for the last couple of weeks.
No, I don't think so. Because listening to Dean Smith again, they asked him at the end of the game, will he be able to start one of those games? And he said, I hope so.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't fill me with enough confidence to bring in Jack Grealish for those 2 games. I think you want your players to start.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Pistolero is in the chat saying, El Ghazi, my hero. Yeah, scored again. El Ghazi this week. Absolutely sensational stuff. Top for BPS amongst Aston Villa players. Very good.
I'm just slightly concerned that you're about to move us on and we haven't talked about Mitchell. And
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't think we should overlook the fact that Tyreek Mitchell is a legend of FPL.
Oh my God. Go on then. Talk me through your strategy for getting Mitchell in. Talk me through all the stats that you poured over to get Tyreek Mitchell in. Talk me through all the thinking you did all week to get Tyreek Mitchell in. Talk me through your thinking for Tyreek Mitchell.
Have you been eating something sour? You seem to be very upset.
Oh, do me a favour. You basically bought him in because you needed the money to do DCL.
Right, okay. So there were 3 options going into. There was 3 options going into Friday.
Oh my God!
These are the guys who listen to my OHANA will testify to this. It was either going to be Antonio and Kufal, Bamford and Kufal, or DCL and Mitchell because he was the only person that was affordable.
Yeah.
But I ruled.
Then you spoke to me, and I was getting DCL in.
Shush!
And you were like, right, I need to shield against this.
You are such an absolute S-stirrer.
You were so doing Kufal and Antonio.
No.
100%.
So I was going to do Kufal and Antonio. I hadn't spoken to you, though. You locked yourself in your office and I was getting a COVID jab. And then, and I'll tell you who gets the credit for this.
Tips is in the chat with just the lemons, look.
you. I'll tell you who gets the credit for this. Neil from FF Scout gets the credit from this because I sat and I listened to Neil's team news on Friday when he said...
Getting hot and bothered and I've got to open the window.
Because you've got sour grapes.
Getting hot and bothered, getting all annoyed.
Because Neil said...
We have to talk about Alisson.
That Hodgson had said that PVA was out for family reasons, and I was like... That means Mitchell's going to play. Because I needed a player that was going to play, and he had 10, so I had to
listen to Neil and Andy on Fancy Football
Neil,
Friday afternoon.
You absolute hero of a man.
Well done, Neil.
Thanks to Neil. Mitchell and DCA made the appearance. DCL was mostly in to cover the fact that I thought you're going to hurt me if you bang. But what I didn't anticipate is Mitchell being an absolute legend.
It's not bad enough that he got an assist for the vintage Benteke, but then for him to get a goal off he apologetically put it in with his shoulder. I could not believe it. And then and then the commentator was just like, well,
I was so happy.
This VAR's going to check this. As soon as he said VAR's going to check this, I'm like, there is no way that VAR will rule that out because that's just not how you play FPL. That's just not how life works for Sam in FPL. How life works for Sam in FPL is that Tyrant Mitchell can put it in with his arm and VAR completely ignores it.
It was his chest.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What an absolute legend. So thank you, Neil. You are now my hero.
Paul Baxter.
And also, thanks for Hodgson for actually being honest. Unlike Klopp, who tells lies. All my players are fit.
Paul Baxter's in the chat. He's just saying he's cheap. So that's what more do you want? And Scott Schrager says one stat. He was cheap. You don't need to look at the stats.
Thank you.
And Joe Finley Badder's in saying he plays like Trent all season. Lee should have known, shouldn't we? It's just like no, absolutely ridiculous. Any other week.
But I bought him
you bring him in and
Lee,
you bench him.
I wouldn't have brought him in any other week. I brought him in this week because I needed a playing player. He was a playing player. He was a body that was going to bring me 2 points. And that was the important thing. I didn't care about anything else. And then he absolutely legend status. In fact, if I'd had a swapsy, he'd have taken up the whole board and should have just printed
Could we not have a Tyrant Mitchell?
Literally should have printed off a picture of just Mitchell's face and stuck it on there. He's a legend, and he brought 13 glorious FPL points. And for that, Mitchell,
the biggest load of strawberry jam I've ever seen in my life. Let's cheer me up and talk about West Brom 1, Liverpool 2. Have you ever seen scenes at the end of that game?
I thought West Brom were going to do the double over you.
Oh, fuck. Stop winding me up. You just come off of the Mitchell chat, and then you're going to say things like that. Why are you going to say that? Why are you going to upset me like that? But by the way, you're absolutely right. Liverpool were very, very lucky to win that game. Very lucky.
Because West Brom actually played quite well.
Yeah.
And you played not that well.
Well,
and I thought...
We dominated the game, but as usual with Liverpool, we looked shaky from set pieces. We looked... You know what you're going to get with West Brom, right? Big, strong team. And even someone like Hal Robson-Kanu, who we mentioned at the top of the show, can turn Reece Williams inside out, right, and finish it calmly past Alisson. It was a really well-taken goal by Robson-Kanu, but he should never... Williams just committed, went too tight to the whoever got the assist. He just spun him behind. It's such an easy goal. It's crazy. So there was that, and of course there was the one that was disallowed by West Brom. Well, there's actually two things, and I actually almost got a tissue out for Sam Allardyce at the end of in the post-match interview because he was whinging, but... If I were a neutral, by the way, I loved it. I love a bit of Sam Allardyce whinging. But if I was a neutral, I think I would have agreed with him. Because the first goal, the ref gets in the way.
I would have, honestly, I would have been annoyed if that goal had stood because we had the same thing a few weeks ago that got ruled out for us because a player was apparently in the goalkeeper's way. So that is the rule of the game. It's happened over multiple games this season. So yes, it's another thing that we are annoyed at VAR for, but at least it is consistent. Like, at least we are consistently seeing the same thing. It's consistently wrong.
Consistently wrong.
It's consistently wrong, and it will probably change in the summer. But as somebody who's been through it with my team, I've been absolutely livid.
Yeah.
If they'd have left that on because it's like, well, that's cost us 3 points earlier in the season.
Well, my view on the game is that Mike Dean was blowing for absolutely everything. It just needed a feather-light touch from a West Brom player to go down and stay down for a minute and stop the momentum of the game.
But one of them was
Mike
leading.
Dean was blowing the missile. It was just Mike Dean, another bad game for Mike Dean. But although that didn't go in our favour, the two major Mike Dean errors actually went in our favour. The one on the first goal where he gets in Fabinho's way and gives a free kick to Liverpool should not be a free kick to Liverpool.
Ball, isn't it?
The letter of the law says if the ball hits the ref, it's a free kick. If it doesn't hit the ref, which it didn't, it is a drop ball. And he mistakenly gave us a free kick there. I think it's Gallagher is out of position, and then I think sort of Thiago maybe spins and finds himself in some space. It's a clanger from the ref, no doubt about it, and we score from it. And West Brom rightly are aggrieved.
Yeah.
On the goal, is he in the keeper's eye line? Not for me. It's one of those. If it goes against you, you're fuming, aren't you? You're absolutely fuming. And then of course we had the last minute Alisson goal coming out of absolutely nowhere. I mean, what is he doing up there? I've got no idea. But well, listen, it's Liverpool. I'm always honest about Liverpool's performances, as you know, and today we absolutely got out of jail big time. And it's huge, right? In the context of the top four, it's massive because the pressure is now back on Chelsea and Leicester on Wednesday night or whenever they're playing.
It was good fun to watch with you.
Good fun to watch me, right? How do you see the top four playing out then? Because Liverpool's fixtures, don't forget, Burnley and Crystal Palace, as I've mentioned at the top of the show, I think going to Turf Moor now is very difficult. Look, and then Palace at home. What are you doing about Salah and Trent now? Going to keep those two?
Yeah, yeah.
Keep those two. Okay, fine.
You're in the prime... In my opinion, is that you're in the prime position now because Leicester and Chelsea have to play each other. That is huge. Yeah. The fact that they've got to play each other, either they're both dropping 2 points or one of them's dropping 3, which is massive given the position that you find yourself in. Yeah. Now, if it's Leicester that dropped 3 points against Chelsea, they then go into a game against Spurs on the final day of the season. And that game, you can never tell what's going to happen in one of those games. Yeah. They're always bonkers. So they could be in a predicament. If Chelsea lose that game, you are already right on their coattails. You'll be right up there behind them. And who do they have on the final day?
Chelsea got Villa away on the last day. You'd back them, wouldn't you?
You'd back them to win that. Yeah, you would back them to win that. It's tough. It's
very,
really
very
tight. But all I can say is that Liverpool have to go out there and win those 2 games. I think the problem is that Salah, to me, looked like he was carrying all game. That knee injury, he did something to his knee just before the goal that he scored. He looked like he was carrying it for the rest of the game. Every time he did a run, he was all right. But then when he slowed down, you sort of look.
Okay.
Watching that, not the Klopp will tell us until after the deadline anyway, even if there is something wrong with him.
He will be wheeled out, trust me, even if he's got half a leg hanging off. He will be out there. Where would we be without Mo Salah? I mean, the goal today is so well taken.
Just put Alisson up top.
Yeah, well, yeah, true enough.
Stick what's-his-face, Adrian in goal. Play Alisson as a forward.
A couple of interesting stats from that game. Thiago and Trent both top for chances created with 5. Also, Trent top for crossing with 16. So, again, Trent's underlying numbers continue to do the business. And I think he picked up some bonus points as well in that game. Did he skip bonus points? Might be wrong about that, actually. No, I think he got 1 bonus point. Yeah,
Did
so
he?
Salah, Alisson, of course, and then Trent with the 1 bonus point in that game. So, yeah, he's going to pick up an assist and a bonus point. So,
did Alisson not get all 3 bonus points?
No, he didn't. Salah got the 3. Salah got the 3, which is crazy. So there we go. I don't want to talk any more about the game, Sam, because I want to talk about... I want to get quite quickly to the remaining 2 game weeks.
Can you believe we're in the final week?
We're in the final week. We've got game week 37 coming up in midweek, and then we've got 38 next Sunday. So by the time we stream again, by the time we see you guys next at 8:30 this time next week, it will be done. We will be finished. We'll be handing out wooden spoons. We'll be looking at pre-season predictions. We'll be doing reviews of the season. We'll be doing teams of the season. It will be a totally different stream this time next week. But for now, we have to look ahead to the teams that we should either be targeting or avoiding. And as per the thumbnail, I want to hear from you about differentials, particularly from the teams to target. So the teams to target, as you guys can see on the left-hand side here, Newcastle, we spoke about before, Sheffield United and Fulham. West Ham, still in the mix for European football, potentially. And I've got West Brom and then Southampton. Sheffield United in the mix, Leeds, Liverpool, Man U, Arsenal and Burnley. Obviously, if you go to the Fantasy Football Scout website, if you're a member, you can sort by difficulty. As I said before, you can look at the full list. And of course, you can sort it the other way. You can look at who's got the most difficult fixtures, like Brighton, Villa, Leicester, Everton, Southampton, Crystal Palace, West Brom and Chelsea. So give me your thoughts on those teams to target. Are there any teams in there that you currently don't have FPL assets from that you're thinking, actually, for the remainder of my season, I might want to have a punt from one of those teams. Is there any that catch your eye there?
Newcastle, I think, are really fascinating, aren't they?
Right.
Because, but the issue I have with them is, I guess who? Because yes, we talked about Willock already, but I don't know. It just feels a bit. I don't know. I just can't imagine myself owning him. Weirdly,
Okay.
St Max I can. And I think St Max could be a nice differential. Just the things annoyed me, to be honest, as well, because I ideally wanted to roll my transfer this week, so I had 2 going into the final week.
Me too. Yes, me too.
And I potentially could still do it, because I could just third bench him and deal with it for the week after. But equally, I kind of think, well, look, the fixtures are nice for some of those clubs. Leeds, Newcastle, West Ham, all potential options where you could maybe go in the midfield.
But as Marcus Mabley is saying, thank you, Marcus, for the comment. And guys, I want to hear from you guys as well, but in terms of differentials from, to be fair, any of the teams on here, to be fair, if there are teams in that avoid bracket that you think, actually, no nonsense, we should be looking at teams that are in the avoid category, because that's where we're going to find the differentials. FPL managers that are in my mini leagues won't be fishing in the avoid category, so I'm going to go fishing there as well.
Yeah,
so if you've got a
point.
differential from there, let us know in the live chat. Or if you're watching the replay, get in the comments below. Who is your key differential from any of these teams on here? But in particular, those teams who we should be targeting for fixtures. Who are your differentials? And as Marcus is saying, Willock, Sam, only 0.9% owned. So if you are looking differential, proper differential, this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is. He's definitely up there as the most differential one that you could probably go with. He's in great form.
I remember saying to somebody in the Slack over the weekend, one of the patrons was saying, should I take out Lingard for Willock? And I said, there's a question you wouldn't have asked yourself in game week 1, would you?
Never.
Lingard for Willock? What even is this season? It's ridiculous.
But I do think that if you are... So I think with all these things, in terms of differentials, I guess it depends on where you are. If you're winning, like me, then you maybe play a bit more safe. If you're losing, likely.
See, whoa.
Then you maybe...
You basically just said, if you're winning like me, you play it safe, which is exactly what you did, right? You didn't go Antonio and Kufau like you said you were going to. You bought DCL
Mitchell and extended my
and you
lead
captained
debut.
Salah, which is exactly what I was going to do.
Well, I was always going to captain Salah. I think you copied me on that.
Absolute BS. Right. What else are you saying?
So I think...
We have 9-year-olds in the live stream, by the way. I shouldn't be saying
So
that. I apologise.
Be quiet. I think... It's 9:20, bedtime.
Mark is actually saying Willock's 0.7.
What, owned?
Wow.
There you are then. Look, I think if you are chasing mini leagues, if you are in all of that I just said about leagues in jest, because to be honest, my main focus is overall rank. It always has been. So for me, looking at overall rank gain, Willock is exactly the sort of player where if he bangs in those next 2, and by bangs he actually only needs to get 1 or 2
totally.
in the next 2 weeks.
Totally.
If he got a goal in one of them,
let's not forget Sheffield United are absolute rubbish.
They're not.
For some reason,
Have you
Everton
seen
are
them
even
tonight?
worse at home for some reason, but Newcastle will beat them, won't they?
Where-
At St James's in front of their fans, surely.
well, you should have thought so. Yes,
God,
yes,
man.
yeah. I mean, look, I think Willock is a good pick. I do really like St Max though, and I would struggle to pick Willock over Max just because I feel like I've got a bit of a connection with him.
All right.
Just
Any other
nothing.
teams in there? Any West Ham assets? West Brom
West
away and Southampton at home. Is there anything? I mean, they're still in the fight. Again, we've got to think about teams that have got something to play for. Newcastle haven't, have they? So you could forgive them to maybe just
Yeah, but these home
waltzing
games
to a 1-0 win. I don't know, at home to
No,
Sheffield
it's the
United.
home games. Normally,
You think the fans are going to be that much of a factor?
I honestly do. I genuinely
Yeah.
believe that the teams that have got home games in 37 will have a huge advantage with their fans in the stands. And then the reverse will happen in 38 with the fans in the stands. So for me, as part of this target and avoid thing, looking at having the maximum number of players you can from fans in stands games...
Banging on home teams in 37 and home teams in 38.
feels really
This is a thing.
sensible.
This is a thing.
Apart from
I
Everton,
agree.
just don't worry about them because they're at home, they'll be rubbish.
Even with fans.
Even with fans. But yeah, so the West Ham, I think they're a really interesting team because Lingard, I kept him mostly because he was playing this week. To be honest, it wasn't. It was a case of, well, you're going to start, so you stay. But I was expecting more from him this week because Rice was back. I thought, oh, he'll be more forward thinking, but he just wasn't again. So he's one that I think you could sell. You could replace... Antonio was unlucky. There were a couple of opportunities for him. Ben Rama looks like a really nice differential if you really want to go out there.
what a goal the weekend. Oh, very nice.
But he's consistently returning now for West Ham, so he's one that you can maybe look at for differential status as well.
In fact, Angus Chow agrees with you in the live chat, actually. Ben Rama, if he starts in all right form and 0.2%
doesn't even need to start, though.
owned.
Doesn't even need to
crazy.
start. Gets returns coming on.
And as Jacob17 is saying, people were saying that Tielemans would not have taken that shot in the final if it wasn't for the fans. I partly agree. Fans will have a big influence. I think you're right. There's something in this, isn't there? There's going to be something in this, surely, to target transfers in for home teams in 37 and then home teams in 38 as well. I don't think there's going to be any clubs that have got 2 home games, by the way.
No,
so I don't think
everyone's got one.
Everyone's got one, yeah. Where else in this list? I'm gonna skip over Sheffield United. I think I'm right to do that. Plus they've got Newcastle away in 37. Leeds also play away. What about Manchester United then? Home to Fulham and away to Wolves. You've got Bruno, you've got Shaw. Is that enough? Or do you feel like a Cavani? Or do you feel like a Greenwood coming on? Or do we feel like a Wan-Bissaka to go alongside Shaw? What? For me, that feels treble-uppable, if that's the right phrase.
I can't go in the biscuit tin.
You can't go in the biscuit tin. No, I can totally understand
that. I really like Cavani.
Yeah.
But my stress levels would be too much, to be honest. Because he can't play that many games in quick succession.
No,
and I don't think you can get 90 minutes out of him midweek and then on Sunday. So that means he probably might start one of them, but might even come off the bench for both of them. But he does return off the bench.
Do you think that he starts in the Europa League final as well? Because remember, that is 3 days after Wolves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe an avoid for Cavani.
I do think Greenwood could be a nice differential option because he's still not very highly owned either. And has been on really, really good form. So if you want to go for a differential Manchester United player, then it would probably be Greenwood that would be my choice.
That Wolves away game is going to be very difficult to call Ollie's team, isn't it? The Fulham home game, I like it. That's part of the reason I've kept with Fernandes, because home game, in front of the fans. I don't know what sort of state the fans are going to be in. I'm assuming they're going to be there supporting the team rather than complaining about the ownership, but let's see what happens.
Well, they'll complain before the game, they'll have 90 minutes off complaining, and then they'll start complaining again at the end.
You'd think so. But that Wolves game is going to be very difficult to call.
I agree, and I think that Wolves game, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Luke Shaw not playing that game. Tellez play it.
Okay. What about then Burnley? So let's address the last team that's on there. Liverpool at home, which according to Fantasy Football Scout is a red fixture. Trust me, from an attacking perspective, it is not. And then they go away to Sheffield United. So, I've got Vidra in my team, and I feel like I'm going to play him against Liverpool. I feel like I could. I'm looking at my team, and right now he is on the bench right now, my bus team.
Yeah.
But I just think they could get something against us. I really do. And then Sheffield United last day, we've got to be looking at Chris Wood, haven't we? Or is he not differential enough now? Has that ship sailed? I don't know.
I mean, this is another prime example of where weird this season's gone, when Chris Wood's not a differential.
Yeah, I know, right? Or is it Dwight McNeil or something? I'm just trying to... I'm freestyling a bit, right?
I don't fancy Burnley at all in either of these games. I
just lost 4-0 to Leeds.
I watched that game really closely because I was scouting Leeds.
Right.
And honestly, I didn't see anything from Burnley that might make me want to invest.
Okay.
So I would avoid Burnley, but I'd put them on the avoid side. But if you've got Chris Wood, I wouldn't sell him. If that also
absolutely
makes sense.
Would not sell him.
No,
absolutely would not sell him.
I wouldn't bring him in.
No,
but
okay.
I wouldn't sell him.
All right, let's talk very briefly then about the teams to avoid. Have you got players from your FPL team in the avoid category? So I'm thinking about in your team, Ollie Watkins. You've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin there, who I don't think you're going to sell before Wolves at home, but who knows with Everton at home now? It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know who else you've got. You've got obviously Mitchell from Palace. You haven't got any Chelsea, have you? So I think you're probably quite well set, aren't you? In terms of this avoid list, you are already avoiding quite a few of these.
Yeah.
What are you saying about Ollie Watkins though?
The thing is with Ollie Watkins is he's
so consistent.
He's consistent, and also it's Spurs, and I think that the fans in the stands. Sorry to mention that again. But they will encourage the Spurs players to attack. And in encouraging them to attack, that will leave space for Watkins in behind.
Right.
That will leave space. So I think Watkins could get something in that Spurs game. The final game of the season against Chelsea, I think, is more difficult because Chelsea, I think they'll lose both games.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they could get goals in the Spurs game, and therefore I will probably keep Watkins for Spurs. But I don't know if I'm going to play him.
Interesting. All right, interesting. As Joe Findley Badder is saying in the live chat, using your last transfers of the season on Burnley players should be illegal. I love that.
I think that's the best way to say it, actually, Joe.
That's the way to sum it up, no doubt about it. So there we go. Some teams to target, some teams to avoid. Obviously, get in the comments below, guys. Let us know who your differentials are for the remaining 2 games. Only, 2 transfers left in the whole of FPL, so use them wisely,
Get
guys.
the captaincies right. These last 2, we have to get them right.
Well, yeah, it's easier said than done, isn't it?
Is it? Or would you set and forget it?
We'll talk about that in just a second. Let's do a quick reminder for those of you that are not yet joined us on Patreon. If you want to go check us out over there, patreon.com/FPL Family, either the $3, $5 or $10 tier. Thank you to everybody that signed up over the last couple of weeks. June and July is free, actually, for Patreon over the course of the summer. In fact, could you just tell the guys a little bit about each of the categories, because I've got a frog in my throat.
So the OHANA tier is our cheaper tier. It is, you get access to our Slack channel. You also get access to our free podcasts, which either Lee or I, or both of us, record and put out every Friday morning. At $5 a month, it's the Manager of the Month tier, where you get all of the stuff that I've just mentioned from the OHANA tier, but you also get entry to our Manager of the Month competitions, where you can win things from our friends at kickingtheballs.com, signed shirts like behind me on the wall, signed street signs like behind me, and also a printout of the league that you win from our friends at Princeworks. Who actually, if you haven't checked them out already, have a look at them over on Instagram. Princeworks scorecards, they're called. They make printouts of mini leagues, various other things. And then finally, there's the Zoom tier, which is $10 a month. All of the stuff I've just mentioned, but you also get to speak to Lee and I twice a year on Zoom to discuss your team, help with transfers, whatever it is you want to talk to us about.
So there we go. June and July is pretty low content, obviously, in June and July. So if you want to come and join us, maybe just join us at the OHANA tier for $3. You'll get charged $3 on the day you sign up, but you're effectively getting the best part of 3 months for that $3 now over the course of the summer. So if you want to check us out over there, patreon.com/FPL Family, we would love you to do that. Right, Sam, talk us through your team for this week.
My little legends this
Well, I
time
continue
around.
to cough, by the way. I do apologise. My throat is giving up on me because I keep talking so much, but I'm going to keep on with the water and see how we get on. But go on, team.
So I made 3 transfers going into this week, mostly because I just didn't have enough players and actually finished the game week with not enough players. So it was a good job that I did it. I did Castagna to Dallas, which was definitely well worth doing. He got me 6 points. I did Veltman to Mitchell, which was definitely worth doing for his 13 points. And I also did Iheanacho to Calvert-Lewin. Probably the one that I actually wanted of all the 3 the most, did the least.
There's such a clamour for Calvert-Lewin this week. It's crazy.
But actually,
I
look across my team. Alexander-Arnold with 6, Mitchell with 13, Dallas with 6, Salah with 20, Kane with 8, Watkins with 8, with 5. It was only really Lingard, Calvert-Lewin and Coleman that let me down, and of course Jota for not really being there. Even Martinez returned some save points in that game. So actually really pleased. 66 in total, up to 34k.
Pretty good.
I've got to be honest, guys.
Yeah.
I am so delighted by this because it's
that's almost a 25% increase in rank. That's really good.
As you know,
Nice week.
this season's been really hard for everybody, but I've yo-yoed with the top 50k for months. This is the highest I've been all season.
And it's Tyreek Mitchell.
And it's Tyreek Mitchell that's done it for me. Going into game week 37, I actually look at my team and think I could bench Jota because I have got some benching headaches this week. There's players on the bench that I think I'd rather be playing you.
Fair enough.
But I'm probably going to make a transfer. I probably will take Jota out and bring in Harrison. It just feels like something I want to do. So
Jota to Harrison.
I think that's going to happen.
Okay, interesting.
But I am absolutely thrilled with him this week.
What happened to targeting teams that got home games in 37?
Yeah, but Lee's are better away.
Well, it's fans in stands. You've been talking about fans in stands
That's
for
why
the
I'm
last
gonna
half an hour.
That's probably why Captain Kane.
Captain Kane against Aston Villa. So there we go. 64 points, very good. Thank you, Glamden Z, for the comment in the chat. He's saying he or she is saying, Lee, you good? And I'm like, no, my throat is giving up, guys. My
Just
voice
ignore
is
him. He's
giving
got man
up.
flu.
I have got man flu, which, as you know, is the worst kind of flu. It really is the worst kind of flu.
God.
So your game week, very good. 64. 64
66.
with
66. Coleman and DCL got their extra ones.
Of course, I did this midway through the Everton game, so the extra 2 points from Calvert-Lewin and Coleman absolutely making the difference. So 66 points, a pretty damn good game week. Thank you, Tyrek Mitchell, you absolute jam. Here's my team for
jealous.
the week. 54 also took a hit, so my transfers were Dallas, Rafinha and Calvert-Lewin in. For the most part worked with the two Leeds boys. Did not work for Calvert-Lewin, but he's going to get another run out against Wolves next week. 54 minus 4. Again, I will have an extra point for Dean and an extra point for Calvert-Lewin, assuming neither of those guys got booked, so I'll be on 56. Taking me up to around about 92k. I was about 100k coming into the game week, about 92k, so about a 5 or 6% game week rank rise. So, yeah, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. The difference between you and I this week is Tyrone Mitchell. No doubt about it.
Why are you so annoyed about him?
Because I had 56, you had 66. I'd have beaten you this week if Tyrone Mitchell had got the 2 or the 3 as he should have done. I'd have beaten you
What
this
game
week.
were you watching that you should have done? He got a goal and an assist.
Anyway.
And some bonus points. And he's a legend.
Any week where you get a green arrow at this stage is a good one. And I'm trying to make the 100k stick. I know you've been keeping your sights on the top 50k, trying to get that to stick.
I so want that to stick.
I now need to stick in the top 100k. I've been in and around between 90k and 120k for weeks. And it's been so hard.
Months.
To kind of get into that. Well, no, not months, because I did drop down to 250k. Do you remember when I did
that terrible week?
When I didn't have Kane and he banged a 19-pointer, absolutely killed me. And it took me about a month to recover from that terrible game week. And I've slowly been creeping up to try and reassess my goals. I was like, right, 100k. I'm never going to get up into 50 or 10k now because of that. There's some terrible game weeks. But if I can get to top 100k, I'd be happy with that. So 92k, I'd be reasonably happy to finish about there for the season. But with a couple of differentials, using my 2 transfers wisely, I think I can push on a little bit and make it maybe top 75k. That would be good. But anyway, it's an all right week. Green arrow, small green arrow. I'll take it. So there we go. That is the game week. So that is it, guys, for this week's FPL Family. And that's it for this season in terms of standard FPL Family live streams. We, of course, will be back next week, 8:30, same time. But it will be our season review, right?
We'll have our predictions back out.
We'll get the predictions out. We'll get the wooden spoon trophy
out.
It's our end of season finale. FPL will be done, guys. This time next week, we will know whether Liverpool got in the top 4. We will know whether Spurs are in the Europa Conference League.
Oh, shush!
And
what? Why?
I'm just saying we will. Talk to the guys about what we're doing this week.
I'm not happy with you.
Well, I cough again.
That is what you get for being rude. So actually, we're both doing the official pod this week. There will be 2 official podcasts this week because obviously there will be a Game Week 37 official podcast and a Game Week 38 official podcast. So you'll find Lee, I think, on 37s and you'll find me on 38s. And then
2 podcasts, love it.
There will be a Scat Game Week as usual this week. And then we will.
I'm going to be on Sunday with Gianni and Toby on Scoutcast Watch Along. So if you're going to watch us on your phone, maybe with the football on the TV. On Sunday, 3 o'clock, 10 games, all at the same time. The watch-along will be on.
That's exciting. And then we will also, a week on Tuesday, we'll be on the official FPL show doing the season review, which I'm very excited about.
Yes, and part of that is actually to talk about our team of the year. So guys, get in the comments, let us know who is your team of the year. Not so we can rip it off and take it on the show,
Well,
but
you might.
I've already submitted to the producer of the show.
And to be fair,
my team of the year.
You didn't follow instructions either, did you? Because he specifically asked for 4-4-2 formation, and you sent him 3-5-2.
3-5-2. I was too many good midfielders. I had to take out Souček in the end. I had to take out Souček and put in another defender. Am I mad, guys? Get in the comments below. Would you have Souček in your team of the year? Let us know. 4-4-2, strict 4-4-2 with obviously Emi Martinez. In the comments below, guys. Thank you for joining us on this episode of FPL Family. We'll see you this time next week when it will be done. FPL will be finished.
I feel
for
quite
this
sad
season.
now.
Well, there is loads of football to be played between
4 weeks today. The Euros kicks off.
The Euro starts. It's
Buzzing.
coming home, as Tips was quite
Come
rightly saying.
on, Harry Kane.
I'm going off for a lemsip and to rest my voice, guys. Leave us a like before you go. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to FPL Family, and we'll see you this time next week for a season review. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.